This isn't just another podcast. We're crushing the taboos and we're rewriting the rules. It's the space where we normalize women becoming wealthy. If you're done playing small and ready to become the CEO of your life and the architect of your future, then my girl, you're in the right room. Welcome to your wealthy era. Welcome to the Wellthy CEO podcast.
What if I told you your passport isn't just a document? It's actually a strategy for freedom, a strategy for wealth, and for some, a strategy for survival. Today, we're going beyond the surface of immigration and stepping into a conversation about global power, identity, and what it means to live without borders. I'm joined by one of the most trusted voices in global mobility, a woman who has built not just a firm, but a movement around freedom, elegance, and choice. You're going to love Jane Katkova and what she has to say. Let's dive in. Today, I have such the pleasure to have in the studio on the podcast a beautiful friend of mine who exudes elegance and beauty. You have a whole brand around it. My dear friend, Jane, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me very much.
So we were literally just talking before we hit record about how long we've known each other. And it is over a decade of what started in business. Collaboration has blossomed into friendship, womanhood, sisterhood. And I admire you so much. And I can't wait to dive into the woman behind your business and how you're such an inspiration for women in business around what you do. But I would love, before we dive into that good stuff, I'd love to dive into your origin story. Because you have built this incredible, successful firm, but there's a woman behind it who has created it and built it. And you had a disadvantage being that you came to Canada and you're an immigrant to this country. And so many people can use something like that as an excuse as to why they couldn't build the life that they had envisioned for themselves. And I think you've done the opposite of that. So I turn it over to you. Share with us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I wasn't actually prepared for this question. I came to Canada not only just myself. I came to Canada with a 2-year-old daughter. And I came to Canada without a status. I was just a visitor. And I came to Canada with a very minimal amount of money. And I came to Canada immediately after the father of my child, who was my husband, completely vanished, disappeared from our life, despite the plan was that he would be coming with us. So I was coming in a bad shape, actually, to this country. And I had one person who I knew in Canada. It was a gentleman, a friend of mine from Riga. He came to Canada. He has come to Canada 2 months prior to us. And he didn't have a status either. So we just walked into his apartment building at Steeles and Bathurst. And I looked around. It was very cold when we arrived. I looked around and I saw just fields, because at that time there were not too many buildings there. And I was just thinking, where am I at all? Because I was coming from a beautiful European city and growing up in the very, very, very heart of it, which is Riga, and which part of it is protected by UNESCO for the beautiful architecture and the Art Nouveau style. So that's how I started. And to be able to sleep on something, my friend, helped me to bring a mattress from garbage. And
wow.
That mattress was our bed for some time. Yeah.
Keep going.
That's how it started. And I was very fortunate to be able to get a help of a Jewish agency to help me immigrate as a professional immigrant. And within literally a year, I had a PR status in Canada. And that's how it all started. It was really very hard, but it all happened. And I honestly believe that my story is not a unique story. I honestly believe that so many immigrants who come to this country actually built this country to where this country is today. That immigrants are much more driven and motivated than sometimes locals.
Sure.
They need to earn, to buy the food, which I had to do. And they need to figure out. And if they come at an age when you're over 18, you are an adult.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what to do.
You do. And I would agree strongly with what you just shared. And of course, there's many immigrants that do come to this country and are heavy weighted on the system. But I think especially when you immigrated, and immigrants that have come 10, 20, 30 years back have really built and formed the backbone of Canada. And my partner and I, we were actually at a Korean, we have this Korean barbecue place on the Queensway that we love to go to. And it's a husband and wife, and they're the only people you'll ever see there working. And they speak maybe 5 words of English. And yet we're always so fascinated by how busy it is in the restaurant and how they just figured it out, right? Like they came here for a better life for whatever reason why they wanted to migrate to Canada. And they've probably been here for decades and they still don't speak English, which is okay, right? They don't speak any English. Like you should learn a couple words, but we had this admiration, is my point. And in agreeing with you, it was like, if they can do it and they still don't speak English, how much more can somebody like myself do it when I do speak the language and I'm much younger than them as well, right? And so it's fascinating to hear your story. And I think it's incredible to think you went to you had a mattress from a garbage. And I think of the 180 of like, again, your whole personal brand, right, is wrapped around elegance and the art of living beautifully, right? Like beautifully. And what a 180, what a drastic contrast to how things started in Canada for you. I want to ask you, how did you get into the legal side and the immigration side? And where was that desire? Was it like birth because of your story here, or did you always know this is what you wanted to do?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It actually came out of the life situation.
Right.
My parents, I just maybe, since you asked me about my story, the only thing which I was able to bring with me was paintings. Because I always collected paintings. So I had 7 paintings rolled that I brought with me in my hands on the plane to Canada. Behind in Latvia, there were my parents, I'm a very late child. And I really, all I wanted when I came was to not only get a status in Canada, of course, I also had to care for my baby because having 2-year-old, and you will very soon know about it, your hands are tied if you don't have help.
Totally.
Yeah, and actually my very first job in Canada was washing dealerships in the night with Paul, my friend, who has actually become my brother, my real brother in life. And I was paying more than 70% of what I was making from washing those floors to the lady who was with my daughter in that night, because otherwise I won't be able to leave her. So I was able to meet several people from Latvia who have been in Canada for a long time. And I asked them, because one of them was the age of my father. And my father was older because my father had me when he was 53. So this lady was a very, very old immigration from Latvia, around his age. And I asked her whether she would agree to take a painting, which was an original painting, in exchange to giving my father an invitation.
Wow.
So she actually did it. She wrote an invitation to him as an old friend, and he came, and my mom came to Canada, and they had to obtain their status. And I took them to the immigration lawyer. And that's how it started.
Okay.
So, and after that was my studies and everything else. And then eventually I started doing immigration. But also, I think that whatever happens to us doesn't happen without a reason.
Right.
I so much love what I do and I so much loved when I was even assisting him, translating for him in the beginning, that I felt very much at home. So, I think that was meant to happen.
Wow. So incredible.
Yeah.
Right. And, I do agree that everything happens for a reason. And I'm sure you've met many people that there's two camps of people. Those people that can't understand why this is happening to them in life and woe is me. And the other people that look at the challenges and the setbacks as this is happening for me in life. There's a lesson, is to teach me something, and it's actually to make me a better person, even though it's hard, even though it's painful. And so I like your perspective on that, because not so many people will come out with that same perspective on life.
I think that it's much more than just my perspective. I am very deeply in spirituality, and I am a very big learner of Kabbalah. And what I have learned from own experience and from seeing so many lives of so many people unfold in front of me, because I am accompanying their lives for sometimes 2 years, 3 years. Yesterday, I had a client in my office who has been in Canada for 8 years. So I see lives of people unfolding, as I mentioned, in front of me. Kabbalah says that everything that is coming to us, if it's a positive experience, it's a gift. If it's a regular experience, it's a learning. And if it's a negative experience, it's a lesson. And every lesson is priceless, because every lesson is given to us by the Creator. So however uneasy the lesson is, we better receive it with gratitude. Because when we receive it with gratitude, the outcome is different. Totally. Because the moment you acknowledge it with gratitude, your whole perception of the situation changes.
It's true.
And you jump to the next level.
It's true. And the universe doesn't have to keep sending you the same thing over and over again, because it will, until you've learned that lesson.
Precisely.
Right?
Precisely.
So there's a lot of wisdom in that.
Are we not on the same page?
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom there. So Jane, I would love to take the opportunity to talk to you about passports and immigration in general, because when you first started in your business, I'm sure it's very different now than with the clientele that you're seeing. Having status and getting a passport allowed for immigrants like yourself to come into a country. And now today you hear so many people wanting to get passports to different countries for different reasons. And really, holding a second passport is your key to global mobility. It affords leverage, and maybe so many people don't understand that it can actually be a wealth strategy. And I'd love for you to shed a little bit of light on that.
I really appreciate Canada for what Canada has given me. And I would never change my feeling about this country. This country is giving people the opportunity. Somewhere down the road, unfortunately and sadly, in front of my own eyes, something started happening, and our country kind of got stalled in its progression as a country, economic progression, visual progression. Even I have to admit that when we go downtown Toronto, we are not enjoying what we are seeing,
Correct.
Which is a huge pain. And I think that this is that very trigger that makes Canadians, whether they are native Canadians born here or those who have come here and who have lived their part of their lives in this country, to look outward.
Right.
And having 2 passports, my daughter having 3 passports now, I do believe that having an option is incredibly important, because we do not know what can happen tomorrow. Yeah. And we always want to have the plan B. It's an alternative. You do not need to jump to live right away to another country, but you need to have that option in your pocket. Once you have it, you feel better. Just like when you have money in the account.
Totally.
Just like when you have absolute certainty that you can rely on something solid in your life. This is the very same certainty. This is the asset. The second passport or the second residency, in my opinion today, is an asset not only because you can go and experience a different lifestyle, which for sure you can in other countries, but also because this can help you in a situation of need. When COVID hit, my second business, which is Fast Passport Boutique and Fast Passport and Residencies Boutique by Jane Katkova, had the highest level of income and the highest level of clients because people could not leave Canada.
Right.
Okay, say they needed to figure out where to go. And so many Canadians at that time decided to get the passports of the Caribbean countries, and they did. And the second they would get it, they would fly out.
Yeah.
And fly out, and they would be so happy being there because there they were in a more free situation than it was in Canada.
Totally.
They were not locked down, and there they were in the sun. Yeah. Whereas we here in Canada were in the winter. So, and you never know what can happen tomorrow. It's always better to have this option for life, for option for the kids.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I wanted to have my daughter because, I just had a baby girl 15 months ago. I wanted to have her in the United States for that very reason, because she would have had it. And my pregnancy became a little more complicated in my last trimester. So we didn't do that. I ended up having to be induced and my whole birthing plan changed. So we decided to just stay here. But that is a foresight of it's not just for you, but it's for the next generation, and having the ability of wherever they want, whether it's to go to school and being able to take advantage of what's being offered in other countries, but most importantly, the flexibility to be able to work, to be able to acquire property, to be able to invest in another country and be able to take advantage of the structures that are set up for citizens.
Precisely, to be able to work, to be able to buy a property, for the kids to be able to go to school. My daughter went to Sorbonne thanks to our European passport. Yeah. And that the cost of that course that she has taken, it was practically zero because we're Europeans.
Right.
She was able to go to England before Brexit and settle in that country because of our European passport.
Right.
So there are so many more opportunities when that are open for kids when kids are international. And the second passport makes a child international. Look, there are amazing universities in Europe.
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And today, and what I have observed, and I think it's so important, kids today are different kids. They are travelers.
Yeah.
They are not as tight and as connected and bonded to their homes as it was even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They want outward. They want to see the world. They want to go and experience different countries. They want to go and study in different countries. So many, my daughter went through London School of Economics. So many of her friends did their masters in Europe. So all of that becomes so much easier when you actually do have that second option residence.
Yeah.
Are you loving today's episode? If so, can I please ask you to take 30 seconds to subscribe to the show and leave a review? Share this episode on your IG story so other women can find the show and come join us into their wealthy era. And remember to tag me. I'd love to repost you.
How complicated is it? Because I think this is one of the biggest barriers for people is that, or they don't even make the connection. So there's two questions I want to ask you here is the barriers, but then they don't even realize, like, I'll give you a real life example. My mom, her father's German, her mother's Ukrainian. Both her parents were born in Canada. So she's third generation. And her great-grandparents on both sides were born in their respective countries and then migrated to Canada. I said to my mom, literally like 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who she's a lawyer and she just legalized the documents. So she's not the immigration lawyer. You'd still have to go speak with somebody. And she said to me, she goes, have you ever thought about getting your German passport? I said, it's so funny. I have homes in Costa Rica. I have my permanent residency in Mexico, but no. And what a gateway that would unlock to Europe having that passport. And so I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to have this preliminary call with a German lawyer to just see if we're eligible. And she said, why would I want to do that? I don't need it. I'm like, because of everything you and I just talked about, right? The biggest thing is the leverage, like just being able, if you want to have the choice, you have that freedom to do so, right? And so here's the situation where my mom was not born in Germany, neither in the Ukraine. She was born here, or actually in Winnipeg. And so some people don't even think that they could trace back their lineage to their origin and qualify.
Yeah.
And then other people, they just think it's too hard and it's very overwhelming. And so that becomes a barrier. So I'd love for you to crush that. Tell us.
Okay. So it actually goes country by country.
Okay.
Because each country, despite the fact that they are all, that the country that you have mentioned, and let's say Poland, both these countries are the members of the Schengen zone and they are both European Union, still, each country has its own rules. And to address your mom's situation, it will be very complicated because Germany altogether is very, very greedy on giving its passports. They changed the rules, literally, they changed the rules 2 years ago for several months, and they changed them back in several months. So this kind of citizenship is called citizenship by descent.
Right.
When previous generations were born in the country and depending on the lineage and on the rules that the country is carrying, you either can or cannot apply for the citizenship by descent. I have a feeling it will be super complicated for your mom because you have to be born in Germany and leave the country to go to actually apply for this for by descent. However, it's absolutely worth looking into it.
Right.
If your mom left Poland, your mom was born in Canada. Mm-hmm. When did her parents come to Canada?
Her parents were born here, and I want to say what they have. I mean, my mom's 1954. Sorry, Mom. And she thinks that her great grandparents would have come here like after 1904. But
so what I think would be better is so there are several things. The Polish descent, they have to show, first of all, they have to have their documents. They have to have the documents proving the origin of the parents or grandparents back in their home country. Whatever they have, any civil documents they better have so that we could at least look at them before we even start.
Right.
Then there's an important part. We or the Polish lawyers, it doesn't matter. Then you should know whether the parents of your mom or the grandparents ever abandoned or abolished their Polish citizenship. Because this is a very, very important rule. If they ever had, and there is a mark in the registry or entry in the registry in Poland, that would be a no right from the beginning. So you want to go deep.
Right.
Okay, when you are looking at this kind of an opportunity, because this is the cheapest. If it's possible, this is the opportunity to go for, because everything else will cost you money.
Sure.
So you have to examine it deep. And then you would know for sure.
And let's say, because my mom has that advantage right now, right? That the eligibility, it could be there, it could not be there,
That's
as
right.
you just shared. And so that's one avenue for people to go down to figure out their lineage, their descent line, if they have the documents.
Yeah.
But let's say somebody is like super Canadian, all parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, born in Canada. They're super Canadian. And for whatever reason around economics, climate, the country has changed and they're looking for a plan B. And I'm a huge advocate for that. I always say when you need a plan B, if you don't already have it in place, when you need it, you're screwed. You always want to be prepared. You never want to react.
That's right.
Right? You always want to be prepared and hope. You never need to execute and use your plan B. But if you need it, it's there. You're calm. You do what you need to do. You're not in reaction mode, right? So for those people, what would you say, because you did say every country has different rules, not just for if your descent lineage, but if you have no ties to that country, how you could qualify or become eligible to hold that passport is very different for what they require. So what would you say are like the top 3 countries for Canadians that have no ties to that country would be a good opportunity to hold the passport or apply?
So today, no one can even dream about having a passport from the get-go. The last opportunity to get a European passport was in a very short time, first of all, was exceptionally expensive,
right?
But also the opportunity is gone in the spring of 2025. It was Malta.
Okay.
So you could have purchased a passport for 800,000 euros plus application fees and everything else. But because Europe, just like Canada, just like US, just like any developed country, is very cognizant of people who might use the privilege of citizenship.
Sure.
Citizenship is a privilege. They stopped selling it.
Wow.
And that's why Malta, after a very long fight in the court with the European Union, in the European Union court, lost the case. And they actually made her close the program.
Wow.
So there's no country in Europe today where you can receive a passport right away. There are some countries which are running the golden visa, the golden visa programs, and golden visa programs is always investment. So the countries which are left, Spain just got closed. We have left Greece, which is $250,000 in real estate. We have Portugal, where the real estate investment is unfortunately closed as well 3 years ago. It's either 200,000 donation to the local cultural fund or 500,000 euros into the investment fund for 5 years. And you wait for the passport up to 10 years now instead of 5.
Wow.
Literally 5 months ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Laws are changing as we
Yes.
speak. As we speak,
Yeah.
you can have you cannot have it anymore in Spain. I said Spain closed as well. Did I mention? I'm not sure.
You did. Yes, you did.
You can have a residency permit in Latvia, which is my country, which is the cheapest actually in Europe. Just 50,000 euros plus some contribution to the government. And my big advice, huge advice to everyone who is Europe-oriented is Malta. Malta is rather affordable. It's about 100,000 to the government and another commitment to rent a place or to purchase, but it gives you a permanent residence. And that is for life. So your kids will be always forever Europeans. There's another opportunity to go. And lots of professional Canadians are doing it. Actually, my office manager for Portugal is meeting today with a Canadian client who arrived from Vancouver. He's doing a D visa to Portugal. So if a person has a passive income of certain amount and a certain amount in the bank, the person can apply for this D7 visa to Portugal and actually relocate, because every D visa requires your presence in the country, while golden visas do not.
Right.
So you can get a golden visa, keep it in your pocket, and in some time, depending on the country, apply for passport, or you get a D7 visa and you physically have to remain in the country for 183 days. But quite a number of Canadians are using this opportunity, including people who are retired, who have sufficient retirement income.
Sure.
They do it to Portugal. They do it to Spain.
Yeah.
And they also can do it to Greece. So,
do you see majority of Canadians utilizing this heading over to Europe, or do you see as well like South America? I know there's some decent opportunities, Central America as well.
Yeah.
Do you see the Canadians doing that?
Canadians, Okay, we have this poster story, the absolutely poster story of a Canadian elderly lady who went to Portugal, who absolutely fell in love with this country. And even before she came to us, she purchased a house with a beautiful garden. And when she walked into our office, she said, all I want in this life is that you get me this visa. She is long there, along with our other clients who are younger families who decided to raise their kids in a more traditional environment, who decided to give their kids many languages at the same time, who are utilizing American schools, private schools in that very same Portugal, and who actually got rid of all their properties in Canada and said goodbye. Young Canadian families.
I find more and more I can very much relate to that. You know my story of going down to Costa Rica, and it's incredible the amount of young people. And when I say young, maybe some people listening would say that I'm old, because I know I have a whole bunch of 20-somethings that do tune into this podcast. But, I'll say the 40-somethings with young kids who are one by one divesting from Canada for everything that you just said.
There's another reason which I didn't mention, which I think is super important. And because you mentioned Latin America, a lot of people are seriously counting taxes.
Yes, big time.
I got a phone call yesterday to my office, and the lady told me, I could not be more tired of taxes in this country. And take me outside of here. Okay, so she was looking into Panama because they have a territorial tax. So this lady, she's in business. She is absolutely not retiring. She's in her early 50s. She would be continuing making money in North America. Okay, any money made outside of Panama have zero tax. So Panama runs a territorial tax. I have a young relatively young Canadian couple in their mid-30s who are serious consultants in their industry, who are Canadians, who chose Malta because Malta also runs a program where the tax is a set tax per year, which is 15%. Okay, and taxes is a very big factor in that decision in case people are ready to move, because to change your tax residency, you need to actually spend in the country not less than 183 days. And then you have to go through this process of departure tax with Canada, for which you also have to be well prepared. I know.
And it's, I'm actually having this conversation right now. I had a call with an international tax lawyer for this reason, because, the tax component of it continuously chokes me. Like, we're constantly taxed on absolutely everything with our income, our capital gains that just went up last year as well. And then on everything we consume, it's like tax on tax on tax. It's something like we work until October just to give it to the government, just to pay tax. And the exit tax is what I think a lot of Canadians really don't realize is so detrimental, because as you're building your portfolio, I just learned this. And so you can also correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm sharing. I was just recently advised that I have to be careful of how much property I continue to acquire outside of Canada as a current tax resident of Canada, because once I decide to leave, I will be taxed on the appreciation, even if I haven't sold it. And that will be part of my exit tax of Canada. So I have a property in Mexico, in Tulum. I have property in Costa Rica. And what sparked this guy telling me this is I'm saying, I'm looking at properties in the United States to start to acquire. He's like, we need to get you on a visa right now to start that process, because if that's true, Costa Rica, and I'll just give you really simple right now. I purchased that in 2021 for $360,000 USD. Right now it's worth about $800,000. For easy math, let's just say $400,000, right? I bought it for $400,000. It's worth $800,000. So there's $400,000 of appreciation. I've not sold it. And so what he's telling me is that once I decide to become a tax resident of Canada, I'm going to get taxed on that $400,000 of appreciation. Correct? Am I saying that right?
I cannot, what I would not do, I would not comment on taxes because this is not my specialty.
Yeah.
However, what I can absolutely for sure say that in order to make that move, you have to have a very, very, very well built strategy. And for that reason, you do have that residency, because if you want to get whatever residency today, tomorrow it might not be available, or most likely it will be more expensive. For example, I will just give a short example. Panama, that is such a huge magnet to so many Canadians, is now running the program for $300,000 minimum purchase of the real estate to qualify for PR.
Right.
In October, they up it to 500,000.
Wow.
And you will not be able, unless you have this passive income and you're a retired person, you will not be able to get this Panama together with the territorial tax, where you don't have to pay on any income accrued outside of the country. So it is true that in order to apply for your departure tax, you want to be very well prepared, and you want to get rid of as much as possible. You don't want to have the assets.
Yeah.
And you want to have as much money as possible outside of Canada. Okay? So for that you have to prepare. You can have your residency purchased in whatever country you decided at the minimal price that exists today. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have an option to go 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't have an option to go 5 months ago.
Right.
But you have an option of doing things today.
Right.
So you can have that residency at the cheapest price, because it will never become cheaper. This we know for sure.
Yeah.
Today. And start preparing with your asset structure. Getting rid of things, okay? Getting prepared here as well. Also selling stuff. So that by the time when you file for the departure tax, you planned as minimum departure tax payable as possible.
Where do you think the best place to start is when you're talking about strategy? Is it coming and speaking with somebody who is an immigration lawyer like yourself? Is it talking to a tax global person? Where do you think is the best place to start this strategy?
My Canadian practice has nothing to do with it at all. I am the international mobility strategist.
Right.
You will come to me, maybe you do want to talk to me, because I will explain to you, first of all, which country can you even apply to?
Right.
Because if you don't have certain amount of money, you cannot apply to a certain country.
Sure.
You have to be able and also willing to find yourself in that country eventually.
Yeah.
Right? Because that country would become your base country if in Europe, if you choose Europe. That country will become your base country in Latin America. By the way, Latin America is launching the program. Argentina is launching a program already launched. We just don't know the details. They will be selling a passport. I'm not sure it's very interesting for Canadians, but that program is of big interest in our industry and for the colleagues of mine, and for me as well.
Course.
So you want to understand how much you are prepared to spend and where you want to find yourself at the end. Okay. So, and depending on your situation and of your interest. And of course, you will look into taxes. Okay. And maybe today, by the way, for people who have money and who are open to open up a business, maybe they would be looking into Cyprus, because Cyprus has a very favorable dome tax regime, because Cyprus just launched a program where if you come to work to Cyprus, you can remain in the country for 4 years, and in 4 years you can apply for citizenship.
Right.
Cyprus is not yet the member of the Schengen countries, but they are talking that in 2027 they will become the member. They are European Union.
Right.
Maybe Cyprus is your best option.
Right.
Right? And also investing in Cyprus still makes sense, because investing in Cyprus, the properties are on the rise.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a small country. Maybe Cyprus is your better option. For somebody, it will be Latin America. Why? Because Latin America is not that far from Canada.
Yeah.
Right? And the travel is easy. And if you are planning to spend 183 days there and smoothly depart from Canada by that time, you will so much enjoy the territorial tax because you won't be paying a penny on the money accrued from Canada.
Right.
You just have to properly depart.
Yeah.
So there are so many nuances that you want to talk about, and the tax lawyer will not be able to give you that advice. That advice I will give you, and the tax lawyer will tell you how you will find yourself with taxes in relation to that country where you are moving. In case the tax lawyer knows the subject, because there are not too many tax lawyers in Canada who actually do.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So you are the first place that we should start.
I really honestly believe so.
Yeah.
I think when people come to me, I give them clarity. Yeah. And when they leave, they fully understand what they want and what they don't want and what they can and what they can't. Yeah. Right?
And then, of course, you also will make those introductions to the right tax lawyer to speak with, right? Like if we don't have somebody, we can come to you and we start with you and then you can make the appropriate introductions.
The way I do it always, I suggest 3 names and I leave it for you to decide where you will end, because it's not professional to just make one referral.
Correct.
Because we know that relationship with people start when you meet face to face and eye to eye.
Yeah.
And there are different manners and there are different approaches of different people, just like my approach is different from somebody else's, just like yours.
Yeah.
So you want to create this chemistry, because with these people you will be making very important decisions.
100%. Yeah. And also to different fees. Like, we do the same thing, obviously, in real estate, from like closing lawyers, real estate lawyers, your mortgage specialist. I always give 3. That's what I always recommend as well. So
this is a proper way to go.
Yeah.
It's a proper way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jane, I want to just pivot a little bit in our conversation, because I think you've given so much insight into the immigration. Passport's definitely an incredible asset to have. There's this other beautiful side of you that you have built around a community of women and supporting women and creating inspiration amongst women. And I want to make sure that we capture that in our conversation today. So I would love for you to share why Jane's Club, what is Jane's Club? And you didn't have to do this. Like, you have a very busy, successful business as it's on its own. And so what was the desire to create this community for women that you've done?
There's a very good saying that you can take a girl out of the village, but you cannot take village out of the girl. Mm-hmm. So when I talk about myself, I say that you can take a girl out of Europe, but you cannot take Europe out of the girl. Mm. And that's exactly how I found myself in Canada. I really felt that old world with its incredible elegance and beauty, starting from the architecture and ending on the way the table is served, and the way people talk to each other is very different.
Yeah.
And I really seriously missed it. I missed the beauty. Mm-hmm. Over time, this concept of beautifully, spiritual concept came to it as well, was added to it. So to me, living beauty, creating yourself with beauty, and fully being full of beauty on each level of your being is super important. For that reason, I created this club. And this club kind of got a different turn today because I added the definition to it. Jane's Club is now for the masters of reality, for people who actually create their own reality. Because a woman who has it in her hands and who understands how through her spirit, how through her drive, how through her approach to life, through her approach to business, to the world, how to build her own circle and how to build her own life and herself from inside out, that woman creates her own reality.
Yeah.
That's what happened in my life. I know that's what happened in yours. And I know so many women who had it made as well. But this creation of the reality doesn't stop at this moment of the reality. It continues.
Yeah.
We should never stop becoming.
I agree.
And for that reason, I created this new version of Jane's Club. And I'm looking forward meeting women like me with who I can talk on the eye level. And on some of those, I would love to look a little up and learn from them and do it in a beautiful setting with substance, with elegance and style.
And is the club, is it virtual? Is it in person? How can you get connected to it?
It's very much in person.
Yeah.
And today it's very much by invitation.
I love that.
Yeah. Because I feel that if I am on the same vibe with a person who comes to talk to me, it doesn't matter how much money this person has. We are good to go.
Yeah.
So it's through me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I can attest. I have been to a couple of your events, and I'm trying to come to one on Thursday. It's looking positive. And actually, my mom attended one of your events with me years ago, where it was so elegant. It was a white party, beautiful white dresses and white suits, and really exude femininity, but yeah. And always the women that you meet in the room are just really good, heart-led women, as you said. It's not about the money, but they're driven from here first.
It's about the substance.
It is, yeah.
Substance, success, and style.
Yeah.
And the diamond within. Because each of us through our path created this diamond, which only is formed through pressure. And the more pressure it was put on, the more angles and more facets on this diamond appear.
Yeah, I love
or
that.
Or appeared.
Yes, I love it. Jane, I want to ask you one last question in closing. If we were to pass away tomorrow, knock on wood, we don't, what would be the message you would want to leave to the younger generation of women?
Find the diamond within. Build it. Tender it. Nurture it. Love it. And live beautifully.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So good.
If something in today's episode resonated with you or sparked a shift, tag me on IG or send me a DM. I genuinely love hearing what lands for you. And if it spoke to you, share it or leave a quick review. It helps more women find this show and step into their own wealthy era. Until next time, lead with purpose, live with intention, and stay wealthy.